Hello and welcome to the next video in the series for MTS500 teaching in secondary school by way of introduction of the unit. This video is designed for you to get a really comprehensive idea of the unit outline, the critical elements that you need to pay attention to. I'll talk through particular important aspects in this video in regards to assessment. So you can see here on the first page just the unit particulars. Have a look here, that is my contact email. As I've mentioned in the previous video for the introduction, I'm always contactable via email. I will do my best to get back to you within 24 hours. If you need to inquire about anything in regards to your course, your study progression, your study plan for the Masters of Teaching, OUA General Inquiries, the details are there. Moving to the introduction for the unit. Again, please listen to the introductory video for this particular topic, the introduction, and I won't read through the introduction. Everything is there for you to go through, and as well the important aspects of what this unit is about, what it's going to give you, and what you're going to get out of it by the end of the learning content. The unit learning outcomes listed here are quite important because all of the assessments are mapped to these unit learning outcomes. So the assessments will, by the end of the two assessments, there are two pieces of assessment in this unit, will address all four of these unit learning outcomes. This is what I'm after in terms of getting you to demonstrate your learning, your understanding of the content, and your demonstration of that learning through these four outcomes. Moving through to the learning activities, you can see here that there'll be a range of material for you to access online. You can see listed there, of which I refer to in the other video. There is going to be I hope to be a very active Facebook group for this unit. I feel that Facebook is a much more dynamic tool for online learning, and there's going to be a closed Facebook group that will be operating to access content for the unit and to engage in discussion with myself and your peers. There will be an email with instructions on how to get on board with that Facebook group. It is also expected that you'll keep your own learning journal. Basically, this is just a document on your computer, or you can keep it as hard copy as well, but highly recommended that you have it as digital, because a lot of the stuff you put into your learning journal week by week as we go through the topics will form the foundation for the assessments that you will be doing. So when you are prompted on the unit page in a particular topic to complete an activity in your learning journal, complete that to the best of your ability, because the more you work at your learning journal, the more material you'll have to transpose directly into your assessments. So in a sense, the learning journal maps directly to those assessments, so it's not doing work to be busy, it's doing work to lay that foundation for those assessment items. It's expected that you will access the unit page Blackboard as often as you are studying, and engage in the Facebook group collaborate sessions, which will be held fortnightly, of which I'll be emailing detail about, and this way you'll get the most out of the unit and ensure that you are across all the content and can demonstrate those important unit learning outcomes. You can see here that the essential text for the unit is a book by Clark and Pittaway, Marsha's Becoming a Teacher. It's the 6th edition. I highly recommend that you do get the latest edition. It's a comprehensive textbook. It's going to see you through many of your units in the Masters. It's quite a comprehensive textbook in terms of it addresses many aspects of what it means to be a teacher, both the technical skills as well as the context of teaching in the 21st century, which is so important for this unit. There is also going to be a reading list made available for you through the Curtin Library. There is a link on the unit page that will guide you through all the required readings for each topic. Now, importantly, you can see here there are 2 assessments for this unit. A presentation worth 40% that addresses unit learning outcomes 1 and 2 during week 7, and an investigation which is worth 60% during week 12, addresses unit learning outcomes 2, 3 and 4, and it is due towards the end of the unit in May. Now, on assessment 1, I'll just go through some of the critical elements here. You will be doing both written and practical components to this assessment. The first element of this assignment is for you to analyze and report on effective classroom communication. So please make sure that you understand what effective classroom communication is. We'll be spending 2 topics, or a topic, 2 weeks rather, on classroom communication. So ensure that you get across all that content, the required reading, because what you're going to be doing here is analyzing what it means to be an effective classroom communicator and then putting this into practice. So you're going to need to outline the different instructional methods used for either whole class instruction or direct instruction. So it could be one or the other. Please not both, it's too much work. They can sometimes fold into each other, but rather focus on either whole class instruction or direct instruction. And think about employing this in a teaching and learning context using a range of verbal and non-verbal strategies. So when a teacher does whole class instruction, what kinds of verbal and non-verbal strategies will they use? The same goes for direct instruction. You're going to need to deeply figure out what those either of those 2 strategies are, how they're put into practice, because you're going to be practicing this in front of a group of learners. They can be peers or family members, it doesn't matter, but it has to be practical. The idea here is that you're going to be giving an explanation. Read into that whole class instruction, even though you're not going to be having a whole class of 30 people in front of you, or a direct instruction with a couple of people, focusing on a content area of your major teaching area. So if you're a maths major, a science major, English major, and so forth, pick some topic that you're able to explain or teach and incorporate some concepts. So I recommend that you click on the Australian curriculum link here. Focus on lower schooling because the content there is much more easy to break down and much more straightforward, something that you're reasonably familiar with from your own knowledge, something you're confident in, and get together a group of people. They can be adults, they don't need to be kids. If you've got your own children, you can use your own children as well if they're school age. High school age is obviously ideal, but not essential. The idea here is that you are focusing on your own skills as a communicator. Who the learners are isn't really important, but the idea is that they give you feedback. So obviously primary age children might be too young to give you the kind of feedback that you need. So I would say if they're 14 or 15 years or older, they'll be able to give you some good feedback there. So for about 15 minutes, either you are explaining or you're giving a direct instruction, which is basically a step-by-step process about some content area or skill. It might be algebra, for example, how to do linear equations. It might be, if you're a history teacher, you might be explaining about the Anzacs, for example. You may be describing about heroes and villains in English. It doesn't really matter what it is. The idea is that you're practicing those vital communication skills as a teacher will be in a classroom full of students. Here are the questions that you'll need to be getting feedback on. Copy those into a Word document, have enough space for feedback, print them out with enough sheets so that people can give you that written feedback on the day and you collect all of those from the group that you're communicating to. It is also strongly recommended that you film your performance. It can be on a laptop, it can be on a mobile device. You can set up a camera. You film yourself because you'll watch it back and you'll work out what you've done well and what you need to improve on by watching that back and thinking about that performance that you've just done. It is absolutely vital for improving your practice to be able to watch video footage of yourself, as awkward as that can be. You don't need to upload your video recording to me. If you want to share it with me in some way because you want some personal feedback on that, I can potentially do that for you. But for assessment purposes, it's more about using the material in the video and reflecting on that and using that as evidence. So you can give some timestamps in the assessment, for example, saying at 4 minutes 20, I spoke very clearly about the content. At 6 minutes 20, I lost my learners because I was a bit confused about the content myself, whatever it might be. So you can give some timestamps. The third and final element that you'll need to complete for this assessment is identify and plan your professional learning needs with respect to improving your communication practice. So there are some prompts here. Think about what you did well by providing evidence from your reflection and the feedback you get from your audience, your learners. Why do you think you did well? Give specific feedback. Make it evidence rather. Make it as specific as you can. Think about drawing directly through quotes from your feedback sheets, drawing directly from your video, and then as well summarizing that in your own thoughts. And then what did you not do so well? What do you feel needs to be improved? Was it your articulation when you spoke? Was it your non-verbal communication? Think about what you didn't do so well and how you might improve. So SMART goal setting. So SMART goal setting, if you've never heard of it, it's easy to Google, but specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timed goals about how you go about improving your practice. Think about, well, what specifically is it that you're going to do to improve? Here is a guide for word counts. I prefer giving a range for word counts because it gives some flexibility there. Try and stick within that range. You must use APA referencing to write up your presentation and your report. There is a rubric on the Blackboard page. Ensure you look at that rubric carefully because it outlines exactly what you need to do in terms of if you want to achieve a distinction, for example, and the outcomes you need to reach there.